Guys, I got a new webcam and microphone, so let me know what you think. See if you notice any difference from the previous videos. You already shouldn't compare yourself to other people, but when we compare, we're just comparing externals. So, whether it's an accomplishment or something that everyone can see from the outside, but what you're not seeing is what difficulty their life was on. So, if your life was a video game, yours is on a different difficulty setting than other people's. So depending on the gifts and talents you have, or depending on what sort of opportunities you had, you might be playing on easy, you might be playing on hard or legendary, or if you prefer the Guitar Hero terminology, you could have easy, medium, hard, and expert as your difficulties. For some people, going to college is a lot easier or more attainable than for others. Or for some people, they might just have the right network, and so becoming CEO of a major corporation is not all that challenging. That's an example of someone playing on easy. But let's say someone has a chronic illness, whether it's a physical ailment or mental illness, or coming from an impoverished background, all sorts of these things might make them be playing on a harder difficulty. The thing is, you don't get to control what difficulty your life is on. Someone says, yeah, I beat all of Halo and I didn't die once. If they're on easy, that's not impressive at all. But if they're on a higher difficulty, wow, that takes a lot of skill, a lot of knowledge of the levels in order to do that. So basically that's what it is when we compare the externals to other people, is we're just comparing the achievement itself, but not the difficulty it took to get there. The thing is, God knows what difficulty your life is on, and so he knows what you're doing with what you've been given. C.S. Lewis has a really cool example of this difficulty setting in action, where he's like, okay, let's say there's this guy who has this pathological fear of cats, like deathly afraid of cats. There's no logical basis for it. It's just for whatever reason, he's afraid of cats. And there's this cat in danger of dying, and he overcomes his fear to save that cat's life. That man might have shown more courage than some people do in their entire life, or that some soldiers do on a battlefield. But most people aren't really going to see that. They're just going to see, look, this guy rescued a cat. They don't see the internal thing that went on, the fear that he had to overcome, the courage he had to show in order to do that. But God does see that. And so that's kind of the good news of this is, yeah, your life's on a different difficulty setting, but God does know that, and he sees it, and he sees what you're doing. The slightly negative flip side of that is in Luke 12:48, Jesus says, to whom much is given, much is expected. And so those that God has given an easier difficulty setting, whether that's a lot more talents or a lot more opportunities, whatever it is, he is expecting more. So saying, oh, look, I accomplished X, Y, and Z, if that was easy for you, God was really expecting you to do more than that. And so the gifts that he's given us, he's entrusted to us for the purpose of serving others. In the parable of the talents, he gives one person 10 talents, one 5, and one 1, each according to his ability. The one who had 10 goes and makes 10 more by trading, and the one who had 5 makes 5 more. And the one who had 1 says, well, I know my master is a demanding man, and so I'm going to bury it in the ground, and I'll give it safe to him when he gets back. And the master commends the first 2, but not the third. He says, well, why don't you just put that in the bank and at least get interest? He actually says, you wicked and lazy servant, for not using this gift that had been given, and instead just giving back the thing that had been given. So when you're given this gift, it's not enough to just give the thing back. God actually wants you to use it and do more with it. Not only should you use your talents well, but to bring that back to the original analogy, if your life is a game, play the game well. Because God is watching and he's waiting, and he designed it just for you because he knew it's exactly what you needed, and it's also what others need. It's not just like a single player game, it's massive multiplayer, fully interactive, highest resolution graphics, which is called real life. So take part in that story and know that God has a story for your life and you are the hero.